So, we've been seeing that, okay, we want to imitate Jesus. He went to a lot of places. He met thousands of people. He really knew the world he lived in. The farming community, the fishing community, the merchants, the rulers. And in this kind of busy life he led, he always had the desire to do the will of his Father, and he always had a pretty clear, very clear idea of what that will was. And there, God had a plan, a mission, with certain focuses and priorities. じゃあ、イエスの、真似をしたい、その生活をしたい。イエスは、たくさんのところに行って、数千人、数万人と話したし、その世界をよく、ご存知だった、その農家の生活も、漁師の生活も、兵隊の生活も、支配者たちなどなど。で、そうしている間に、御父の身旨を果たしたい。で、その身旨をよく分かってました。すべきタイミングがありましたし、優先順位もあった。ですから、時がまだ来てないとか、カファラウンでたくさん奇跡を行ってから、弟子たちは、もう少し残りたかったけども、イエスは、いや、もう、他の村を、回らなければならないとか、So, within this plan, there were, as I said, priorities. He says, my time has not yet come, or now the time has come. Or early in his public life, he was in Capernaum and worked a lot of miracles, and the disciples were really psyched, and they were just planning to stay there, and Jesus said, the next morning, now we've got to go to a lot of other towns and villages, and so I think it's worth, and that's the kind of crazy world we live in, and I think it's worth considering, what it means to live the virtue of order, for one thing, and specifically within that, how we use the limited time that we have been given. ですから、秩序という徳を話をしたい。こういう、どういうかな、忙しい生活の中で、カオスみたいなところで生活していると、どうやって秩序よく生活するか。そしてその中で一つは時間の使い方。秩序というのは、英語で、first things first。優先順位の高い、ところからやっていきましょうと。順序よく。 で、その中に、例えば、ま、知識も心も関係します。ですから、so we say first things first. Well, all right, that means, that includes our mind and our heart. They should both be ordered to God, and deeds. So our mind, how much priority do we give to the faith? Okay. If there seems to be a conflict there, do we bend easily? Do we conform to what our non-Christian companions might expect of us? Do we study the faith? Do we try to get to know it more? And make that our own, not just study it as an outsider. You say, oh, well, the church teaches this, what do I as a Christian believe? And make it your own. Okay, so church should be, the Catholic faith should be way up there in our priorities. But also, just knowing when to be flexible and when to be stubborn. But sometimes people can get overly attached to their own way of doing things, their own criteria, their own, they get dogmatic about things that they don't have to be dogmatic about. Or vice versa, so, do we follow what the Pope is saying? And it's very easy to do. These days, it's all on the internet. You can go to the Vatican homepage.ですから、じゃあ、信仰を知ろうとしているでしょうか？勉強するでしょうか？で、それを自分のものにしているでしょうか？で、教皇様は最近どんな話をなさるかを、それもインターネットに載ってるから、読んでるでしょうか。で、ですから、教会の教えもそうですが、あとは、自分の、こだわり、あれを大切にしすぎてないでしょうか。もうちょっと柔らかくなってもいいような時に、合わせているでしょうか。頭の、そういう秩序もあるし、あとは心。自分よりも神様。相手。例えば、自分に一番近い性質はどこにあるでしょうか。もちろん、ずっとそこで生活するわけないんですけども、心はそこに、向かわせているかどうか。友達もイエスを知るようにする。その祈りをしてるでしょうか。信仰を知るように なることを祈るし、あとはまあ、その人の、うん、ニーズ、その必要性、そのために祈ってるでしょうか。うん、えっと、えso our heart, does God come first, you know? Specific example, where is the closest tabernacle to where you are right now? We're not going to spend our whole day in front of the tabernacle. We can't, and God doesn't want us to. If you have a chance to go on a retreat or something like that, fine, But I mean, you know, um, but do you know where He is there in the tabernacle waiting for us? We can, our heart can be sort of seeking Him, being sort of united to Him in spirit, if not physically. Um, our friends, the people we know, are they on are they are they on our minds and in our hearts? Do we think of their needs? Do we pray for them and pray that they become saints? Sometimes people are, we're talking about order in our hearts. People can be led astray by their feelings, and they'll make excuses for frivolity because they're afraid of falling out with their friends, that peer pressure that they'll give in. 心の秩序といえば、感情に左右されないこと。ですから、クラブの仲間がみんな、こう、ちょっと変な方向に流れてるところに、時に、自分も負けてしまうでしょうか。そこは心の、秩序が乱れている、かどうか。あとは行い。ですから、まず頭と心。それは神様に向いているなら、行いは、より簡単になるし、逆に、頭と心が乱れているなら、もう、行いを正しくできないでしょう。So then deeds. Is there order there? This plan of life that we've proposed for ourselves with the time of prayer and okay. Are we sticking to that? Avoid these sort of knee-jerk reactions that distract us from what we really should be doing. And be a little more reflective. Is it really best for me to click this or, and get lost following up on every little thing that my social media throws at me, or is there something else I should be doing? Mm, 人が最近は、かなり反射的になりつつあります。なんか見たらもうすぐクリック。だからそこはもう、本当は、これを見る時間でしょうか。だからそこは、 そこに秩序が必要です。あとは整理整頓とか、スケジュールを立てて、だから、やってることを考えて、もちろん、もう数時間をかけて、考える必要はない。数分間でいいかもしれないけども、とにかく、考え、ある程度考えて計画的に動いた方が、充実するでしょう。So, order in our deeds. Well, okay, if our mind and our heart are in the right place, this will be a whole lot easier, But this plan of life that we've proposed for ourselves, are we doing the norms of piety, the time for prayer, etc.? Are we struggling to avoid these knee-jerk reactions and clicking here and clicking there? There are also other material manifestations of order, like neatness, just trying to be organized in general, following a schedule, giving a little thought to, a little thought and planning to how we want to be spending our time. Okay, which gets us into a whole another area related, which is our use of time, giving priority to family, job, friends, God, of course, God in everything. Okay. For students, their main occupation is going to be studying. If they're enrolled full-time in some study program. So, okay, and there's going to be, on your schedule, there's going to be some time for rest, and there's going to be some time for friends and time for family, of course. It's not that we become workaholics or anything. But why do we want to use our time well? Well, because as we saw, I mean, Jesus was known as a man of work, and he got a lot done. There's the parable of the talents. I was given these 10 talents or these 5 talents or whatever, and here I use them well. Okay. In Ephesians, there's an interesting sentence. Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity. エフェソ人ですね。愚かなものとしてではなく、賢い人として細かく気を配って歩みなさい。時をよく用いなさい。と、それからタレントの例え話もありますね。5タレントもらって、これだけ儲けたと。はい。So this is, no, and it's good to, okay, using your time well. This is something that, you go searching on the internet, you can find all kinds of people giving all kinds of advice for that. And it's worth reading that. I've learned things that way too. But why are we doing that? Are we doing it to make money? There's nothing wrong with making money. Are we doing that to move up in the world? Are we doing that? Well, here's a quote from The Way. When you bring order into your life, your time will multiply, and then you will be able to give God more glory. by working more in his service. 秩序ある生き方をすると時間が増える。その結果、神に仕えるためにもっと働いて、もっと、大いなる栄光を神に帰することができる。つまり、ただ金儲けのため、お金を儲けることは悪いことじゃないんですけども、それで終わってしまうでしょうか。または出世のために、または、なんかこう、変な、仕事中毒、になってると、いろんな理由のために頑張ることができるんですけども、頑張れば神が喜ぶ、もっと神様に栄光を期することができる。そうですから、まあ、時間を本当によく使う人、信者でない方、いっぱいいます。で、それいいことです。いいことですけど、私たちはそれをパテナの上に乗せて、ゴミサを通して神様に捧げると、もう、それを完全に超える超自然な、価値を加えることになります。So, and there are plenty of people with lots of, with lots of good things to say about how to use their time, and they are not hypocrites. They actually practice this, and that's great, and we can learn from them. But, you want to pay attention to why we're doing this too. We're doing this for the glory of God, and, that same effort, you put it on the paten and offer it to God in the Mass, and now it has acquired a supernatural meaning that wasn't there before. So specifically, okay, the schedule, the heroic minute. All right, it's time to start this. Start. Try to stay focused. Don't just hop around. Knowing how to fill little gaps. You finish one thing or you're just waiting. You're just waiting because you can't begin the next thing because somebody else has got to be there and you've got 5-10 minutes to kill, and okay, they pull out the cell phone and scroll. Well, you can do a lot of things using those little gaps there, or say a part of the rosary. No, but I mean, read a novel or all kinds of things you can use that time for. As a student, of course, I had summer jobs and worked part-time during the school year too, and a lot of my friends did. We needed to. Some of them worked construction sites. Those pay well. And, you see it every summer. The young guys are there and they're just full of energy and they're just, just running here and running there and you compare that to the middle-aged workers there, and they just look like they're just taking their time going through their day and no rush, no but if at the end of the day, if you look at who got more done and and the quality and the quantity, the those middle-aged professionals um, uh, outdo the young guys. Because they're pounding a nail and they hit it the first time. Once, no waste. Um, they're doing one thing and they already know what the next thing is, and they're already kind of moving in that direction. It's not like, okay, I finished that. What do I do now? And we need this, that, and the other. I'll go get them. And that's why they're running around. So that wasted effort and that having to do it twice because the first time was just it was too rushed or too shoddy. So 学生時代労働者と一緒に現場で働くと特に休みの間に学生も来るんです。お金がいいから。で、もう元気が良くて、走り回る。それと比べて、年配のおじさんが、なんかもうマイペースで、のんびりしてるように見える。けど、一日が終われば、じゃあ、どっちがよく働いたかと見ると、もう、その中年のプロが、もうダントツ上です。焦らず、しかも無駄なく動くことを知っているから。Okay, so these are these are the first couple of videos have been about, all right, what is the supernatural life and the life of grace and prayer and the Eucharist, and these are fundamentals, right? But we are living our faith in the middle of the world, and there are a lot of virtues like this which are part of our growth in sanctity, because we become more Christ-like in these areas too. Jesus was a worker. Jesus had social relations. There's a whole web of virtues there that we need to grow in. ということですね。次のテーマはまだ決めてないんですけども、あと1週間ぐらいでアップします。